Item C, adopt resolution amending cable television services and rates effective August 1st, 2009. Mr. Galson.
Honorable Mayor, members of City Council, good evening. The City Council annually reviews cable television services and rates and considers staff's recommendation for service enhancements and rate adjustments. Normally, this process has taken place during the City Council's first meeting in May, ensuring the approved changes are implemented at the beginning of the fiscal year in July. However, this process was postponed to the second meeting in June due to challenges experienced in setting an appropriate rate increase amount in the face of steep license fee rate increases from programmers like Comcast Sportsnet and the general sentiment of the community to rate increases in these constrained economic times. After having met with the City Council ad hoc cable television subcommittee on 3 separate occasions to discuss broadcast retransmission consent and cable programmer negotiations, service enhancements, the rate increase amount, and new business development opportunities, staff, as directed by this cable subcommittee, is proposing a rate increase of 8.5% or $4.14 on basic cable services, among a few other changes for fiscal year 2009-10. In comparison to other cable operators, this rate increase of 8.5% or $4.14 on basic service is a penny or two lower than the rate implemented by Comcast and 53 cents more than the rate increase implemented by Astound, as shown in the rate comparisons worksheet attached to your staff report. This comparable amount of rate increase enabled San Bruno Cable to, 1, recover about half of its programming costs, 2, hopefully convey to our customers that the city is cognizant of their sensitivity to price increases in these tough economic times, and 3, enables the city to maintain its value-oriented pricing strategy. Although Comcast is not a cable service provider in San Bruno, the company surely is exacting a penalty on San Bruno Cable customers through their programming arm. Without belaboring this point, the Comcast has split the content of Comcast Sportsnet California, the Bay Area channel, channel 40 on the lineup, into 2 separate channels. They moved the coverage of the Oakland A's and the San Jose Sharks to a new channel they're calling Comcast Sportsnet California. This unilateral change in programming was also accompanied by a steep rate increase of 133%. This increase in cost would need to be absorbed to maintain the same level of programming customers are accustomed to receiving from San Bruno Cable. Other programming costs are also increasing at an average rate of 7.5%. The Cable Subcommittee expressed deep concern over the impact the protracted negotiations with Comcast is having on customers and directed staff to launch the Comcast Sportsnet California channel as quickly as possible. This process is in progress and staff hopes to have the channel up within the next month. Additionally, to offer customers some rate relief, San Bruno Cable proposes a new basic level of internet service comprised of 1.5 megabits per second downstream and 256 kilobits per second upstream speeds with a bandwidth consumption limit of 25 gigabits priced at a $19.95 point. And a new basic phone service comprised of local and domestic long-distance calling only for $29.95. These services will be offered as a la carte services. The bundled packages will continue to contain the standard internet service offerings, offering customers the best service and the greatest discount. Now there are 20 broadcast stations in the Bay Area. Out of the 20 stations, 10 or half of the stations have elected must-carry status, meaning every video service provider must carry the station on their lineup. And the remaining half have elected retransmission consent, meaning every video service provider must negotiate consent to carry those stations. The broadcaster's election is good for 3 years. This current election period began January 1 of 2009 and will end December 31st of 2011. So far, San Bruno Cable has successfully negotiated with 7 out of the 10 stations that have elected retransmission consent. In some cases, San Bruno Cable offered to provide advertising on cable channels as compensation, and in other cases, San Bruno Cable has agreed to carry a new cable channel, network channel owned by the broadcaster. But San Bruno Cable is yet to agree to any direct cash payment for the rights to retransmit the broadcast signal. As you're aware, the negotiations with Coffee reached impasse late last year, and the station ordered San Bruno Cable to drop the channel. The negotiations with Univision Communications for the remaining 2 broadcast stations, Univision, which is KDTV Channel 14, and Telefutura KFSF 66, unfortunately also reached impasse on July 12th. And the broadcaster has ordered San Bruno Cable to drop the stations effective midnight, June 26th. I meant June 12th. And June 26th is when the stations will be dropped. San Bruno Cable at this time proposes to comply with the station's order as required by law. These negotiations are proving to be very difficult as San Bruno Cable continues to do its best in minimizing cost increases and maintaining City Council direction to offer value-oriented services. Impacted customers will continue to have access to Telemundo on Channel 17 for local news in Spanish. And San Bruno Cable proposes to offer affected customers with 6 months free trial of the Canales Pack. At the City Council budget study session held last Tuesday evening, the City Council had expressed an interest in learning how San Bruno Cable's service rates compare to the service rates of DirecTV and Dish Network, as they're truly San Bruno Cable's direct competitor. Although it was challenging to make a direct comparison, as an effort was made to do just that. A worksheet comparing San Bruno Cable to DirecTV and Dish Network is provided in the information packet provided to you earlier this evening, containing staff's response to questions the City Council had raised during last Tuesday's budget study session meeting. For this comparison, San Bruno Cable services were compared to the most comparable satellite package. The monthly prices in the comparison worksheets are the non-promotional standard prices of the package paid by existing customers and are not inclusive of taxes and fees. I'm sure you'll be pleased to see that San Bruno Cable's prices are not that out of whack with the competitor, with the competition. In comparison, when you see a significant disparity in the number of channels, staff discovered that the satellite companies were offering both the eastern and western feeds of the same channel, essentially skewing or doubling the count, but offering nothing more in terms of new content. Also, where San Bruno Cable offers only 2 home shopping channels, Home Shopping Network and QVC, the satellite companies are offering 20 or more Home Shopping Network channels. You may agree with me that that offering 20 home shopping channels may be overarching to some extent. So as you examine this, I would like to take the opportunity to point out that San Bruno Cable additionally offers access to video on demand service, including some 1,000 hours of free content to all cable customers. Satellite companies are still trying to come up with a solution for that. San Bruno Cable customers are also able to enjoy an additional 20% discount on double and triple play packages when they subscribe to high-speed internet and digital phone services. These discounted rates are not subject to long-term commitment requirements, as in the case of satellite service, and customers are free to upgrade and downgrade their service anytime without penalty. And lastly, San Bruno Cable is a local operation offering same-day or next-day service, and there's no need to ship defective equipment off to repair. So besides the rates, staying with San Bruno Cable offers many additional benefits. Lastly, at the direction of the Cable Subcommittee, San Bruno Cable is exploring new business opportunities to more broadly spread the department's operating costs so that the value pricing strategy can be maintained. Staff will be returning to the City Council with a presentation on such opportunities next month. In closing, staff recommends City Council adoption of the proposed services and rate change for fiscal year 2009-10. I'll take any questions you may have.
Okay. Any questions from
Through the chair.
Councilman Rivera?
So even though Comcast owns Comcast Sports Network and this major increase, there's still Comcast customers are still footing the bill for that service also.
That's right.
And then every other non-Comcast provider has to pay similar types of rates.
Similar types, and if you look at Comcast rates, they're charging obviously 20% more than we are. So
Okay.
they're easily able to absorb those kind of costs.
Any idea how much savings in dropping those 3 channels that you mentioned, KOFY, just to give people an idea of?
Dropping the 3 broadcast channels?
Yeah.
Essentially, we don't charge for those channels.
Okay.
What the broadcasters are trying to do now is exact a fee for those channels, and what we have been doing is actually fighting that, so that we don't have to pass a rate increase on to customers. So that's really what that is all about. It's not the limited basic fee that we charge is really to bring the services to customers. It's not really a programming fee per se, because San Bruno Cable had to construct a large amount of physical plant in order to do that. So that's really what the limited basic service fee is. It's not really a programming fee.
So just for the resident, out of the rates that we're paying, how much are we paying for those Comcast channels?
In aggregate, out of our programming costs, almost $750,000 or so goes to Comcast annually.
But out of
Oh, how much is on there?
the $50 plus.
I'd say Comcast represents more than 10%, or more than 10%, yeah.
And that's mainly for the broadcasts of right now of Oakland A's and San
That's
Jose
right.
Sharks.
So it'll be more than 10% when we carry both of them. Right now, it's about 10%. It's going to be more than 10% when we do both together, yeah.
Thank you.
Other questions from council?
Through the chair, very quickly.
Councilor O'Neill?
After the study session asking for this, I appreciate that. I know you were telling me it was apples and oranges, but I think somehow we can get to the apples and apples.
We
And
try
I
to do
think
it.
that this is what needs to be continued on when we have comparisons in the future.
Sure, you
So
got
that
it.
they're always included. I think AT&T is another provider that we should look at. Again, if you don't keep your eye on what your competition is doing, then you get left behind. So I think in the future, when these reports come out, they should all be compared as best as you can get.
We'll do it.
Other questions from council members? Action from council?
Through the chair, will introduce the resolution for adoption.
Roll call, please.
Vice Mayor Ruane.
Aye.
Councilmember Medina.
Aye.
Councilmember Ibera.
Aye.
Councilmember O'Connell. Aye. Mayor Panzella.
Aye.